out of 10. Who wants to?
Well, all right. I'm the one who hasn't seen it.
Yeah,
So do you want me to go first or last?
I'm going last.
I was gonna say first. I
Okay.
want his.
I want to go
opinion.
last. So
I
that's
want to
fine.
hear his takes last.
All right, I will go second.
All right,
you
I'll
go.
Oh,
start.
that way,
I'll
while
start.
you guys are talking, I can go pee because I'm about to piss myself.
Go. So I saw this in theaters. I thought it was decent. I was not negative on it. And I want to be clear, I'm still not negative on it. It's we have seen the low points of this series. Like, anyone who says The Flash is the worst DC movie, bro,
They're insane.
you have not seen the entire middle section of the DCEU.
They're actually insane. If you think this is the worst one,
You're actually stupid. That being said, there are some very clear problems. Time travel will always result in continuity errors. Like,
Yep.
in us in real time going, wait, shouldn't there be 2 more Barrys?
Every single time travel film fucks up once.
Fucks up once.
Even Tenet, I found a fuck up
There is a fuck up in
because
Tenet.
the plane reverse explodes him into the building.
Yeah.
There's always fuck ups in every single one, and that's just something you got to take the pill. And I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying this is always what happens. But go on.
There are some fuck ups. Batman is well utilized. Michael Keaton is well utilized. Supergirl feels more like a plot point than a character. I do hope they bring her back, but like I said earlier, I think she's just a little too rage punchy. She doesn't have a lot of settings beyond that, you know? There isn't time for that, which is amazing because this is a 2-hour and 24-minute film, and I feel like there isn't time for stuff because we have to have, oh, it's funny, he did the Speedy Gonzalez, and now he's naked downtown, and we got to have him save the babies as they fall out of the hotel, and then the school children. There's a lot of tonal shifts in this film, but ultimately, it just kind of washes over me. And like Ian was saying, everything seems kind of flat. This is a very flat film. It's inoffensive. It's just Flashpoint, which at this point, I don't think the general zeitgeist has gotten tired of. Like casual film goers is what I mean by that.
Yep.
I guarantee you, for a lot of people, this was their first exposure. This was their first exposure to Flashpoint. But I think as a casual DC fan at this point, I have been overexposed to Flashpoint, and I wish they would do a different story. And the idea that they needed to do this to reboot the DCEU, it's just not true.
That might have been true at one point.
That might have been true at one point, but the end product that we have gotten here, I think the mere presence of George Clooney, like, I know it's a joke, like, oh, he used to be that, he was Batman in the bad one, but like the mere fact he's actually in this film proves that this is not a reset.
I like how you said the bad one. Like, there aren't multiple bad Batman.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like his presence, like, it's a joke, but it actually undermines the idea that this is going to have any long-lasting effects. And, you know, the compounding, like, the meta-knowledge of, like, Clark Kent, like, you know, fucking Henry Cavill's not Clark Kent anymore. Fucking Gal Gadot's not Diane Prince anymore. Like, it just results in me still staring at this film and thinking this is a decent superhero film. It still compounds the fact that the DCU was just a fucking mess and they do need to just kill it. Just fucking put this dog down.
Oh, yeah.
I think there are a lot of stronger superhero movies. I think there are a lot of weaker superhero movies. I think at the end of the day, this is a middle grade superhero film. And for DCEU standards, that puts it in like the top fucking 5.
It is in top 5.
So I'm going to give this 6. I don't think I'd ever really want to rewatch it. It's, like I said, it's long. I think it drags in certain spots.
All right.
Ezra Miller, their acting is good in some scenes, and then in other scenes, I just feel like there's like, they just put the emphasis on the wrong words.
Sure.
I don't know how else to describe it. It's just like,
They are not good at talking.
Why are you delivering your lines like this? I think that's my piece on it.
Okay. I suppose I'm second because Ian wants to go
I
last.
do want to go last.
9! This movie's fucking awesome. Like, this is literally a 2.5-hour live-action adaptation of Justice League Unlimited. That's straight up what this is. It's fucking awesome. The character writing is so fucking deep. There are like 10 different layers. Whenever Barry talks to Barry about these emotional moments, there's like, he's mad at himself because he realizes that for his mom to die, that's what made him appreciate life. And that's a lesson that they both learn at different points with the most consequential consequences after that point. And at the end, the third act, there's 3 Barrys, obviously. The third Barry is the extreme end of Barry trying, the second Barry we meet, trying to save that universe. And the way he has to learn the same lesson that Prime Barry did was for him to sacrifice himself to destroy him. Like, there's so many... I know it's like a crazy comic book fantasy, you know, whatever. There's all kinds of, like, layers to that. It's all one fucking character. And the fact that this movie, this script, I mean, I get it. There's tonal things, but it's also embracing what it is. And the fact that all of that is conveyed in a 2.5-hour blockbuster, way better than DCEU has ever fucking done in the past. I mean, even the Snyder Cut didn't even have that type of layering with, like, the character arcs and the structures. I think it's so fucking interesting. The opening scene with the babies, I think, is both fun and funny. I'm of both minds. Yeah, I'm kind of split on
I
that.
like when he
both
put
ways.
the baby in the microwave.
He
He
cooked
did.
the baby. It
It
went
is-
ding.
It is both ironically fun and unironically fun. I'm of two minds of that. But in any case, I fucking loved it. I think this is awesome. And then the rest of it's just fucking superhero action. It's Justice League, but it's not just mindless action. It's all character driven. Like you were saying, like Batman is so well utilized. He moves the story forward. He himself has an arc.
It's not just one-liners and greatest hits.
And when he says, oh, I couldn't bring you back, you already did. Like I said in the moment, that meant so much to the point of the movie and everyone around
How
him
does he
and himself.
know that happened?
It's just so
He
interesting.
probably figures.
No,
Maybe he saw the other two berries rolling around him.
No,
didn't
he
say-
said you already did. Like, he brought him out of being this recluse guy into being Batman again. You brought him back.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's what he meant by that.
I'm big stupid and I have no media literacy. So I was just like, how does he know that they fixed time?
double
No.
entendre.
No, that would be a single entendre.
See,
if
I'm
that
not.
were-
I don't have as many wrinkles on my brain as you do. That's why I gave it a 6.
I'm going large brain mode. But yeah, for that, many other reasons, the acting all around is actually really strong. Ezra Miller, like I said, he's dynamic in the role. He plays 100 different versions of himself, and you convey
He plays
visually 3, but he does convey what each of those characters mean and what, like, how they're acting and their mannerisms, and just I fucking loved it. It's brilliant. And yeah, the problems you're talking about, they are there.
Yeah.
Real quick before I pass stuff to Ian, actually, you know what? I'll let Ian cook, but I want to talk about the resurrecting actors thing at the end. We can do that after the fact.
Okay.
But 9 out of 10. I want to know how you feel.
So realistically, it is much better than I thought it was going to be, from a story standpoint.
I agree with that.
I assumed it was going to be sucking off Batman cameo. You know, because that's how the marketing portrayed it.
Absolutely.
The marketing didn't do. Obviously, you can't market.
They couldn't.
You can't market Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller's one of the least marketable people in Hollywood.
He shouldn't even be in Hollywood.
Agreed.
They belong in jail.
Yeah, he's out.
They are still not good in this film. There are passable scenes, like Mub was saying, and then there's, whoa, dude, and it's so annoying. Like, it's grating. And I don't think they're a good actor to begin with. I think they're very whiny tonally, and it's just not what I want to hear. And that might be a personal preference thing, whatever. The script did the character pretty well, actually. Doesn't have much to do in any other film they're in. I think the script does the characters very, very well.
Yes.
It's not the script's fault, surprisingly.
No.
This is a perfectly middling, serviceable film that doesn't really get elevated by the things that are on screen. And I'm going to back that up with, this film is visually a disaster. It is really ugly to look at. Whether it's the weird, uncanny green screen that's just a little too focused when it should be blurrier, or the PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 CGI. And I get, you can say that's a stylistic choice. Man, you could have styled it to not look like shit. If it's a stylistic choice, that's one thing. And I think Andy Muschietti said it, but you had all this time to work on it. It could have at least looked like a good stylistic choice. It looks like shit. I very much did the baby CGI where they're all floppy and weird,
They look
or
so bad.
the CGI in the bubble where it looks like video games from 30 years ago. Like, I just can't. I don't look at that and go, oh, neat. I look at that and go, ugh, this looks like Smith from The Matrix 3 when he gets punched in the face by Neo at the end. Like, that was 15 years ago, you know? Like,
20 years ago.
oh my God, stop.
2003.
Anyway, like, every time the visuals don't complement the pretty okay script, to be quite honest with you. There are some lines that are kind of shit, but it's mostly few and far between. Some of the visual gags are funny, some of them aren't. Personal preference. The biggest issue that I have, it's just fine. It's a fine time And without 3 key factors, I'd probably give it leaning a little bit more positive of a score. There are 3 key factors. And Jake, you want to talk about one of them. I'll talk about the other ones first.
Sure.
Visuals. This is one of the least visually appealing films in the DCEU. It's down there with Suicide Squad and Birds of Prey for like, I don't want to look at this film. Ezra Miller existing, that's not the movie's fault. That's Ezra Miller's fault. But it's hard to overlook. And the CGI dead people, which is egregious.
All right.
I think I just want to start.
Sure. You can begin the discussion.
Especially with George Reeves, who hated being Superman and thought that it was limiting in every aspect and facet. Christopher Reeves, who's just dead, and that's just... If you can bring people in, like you could have brought, bring in Nick Cage, have him do his cameo, bring in Brandon Routh, which he's not even here, Henry Cavill, like, you have people who it's not distasteful who are alive. You could have done Wonder Woman. You could have done... They did Supergirl. But, like, they could have done something much less distasteful and, frankly, gross.
All right.
Especially with the argument that's going on right now with the writers and the actors about the CGI and AI thing. This is for me, an overstep of that boundary, and it's disgusting.
All right, let me chime in because I have some pretty strong feelings about this. Let's address the rather large elephant. Yeah, that AI thing is total insanity. Let's just, I'm not even going to touch that argument. That's just a whole rabbit hole.
It's not an argument. It's wrong.
Yeah, it's people getting screwed out of their own thing. Okay, so in terms of what this did with Christopher Reeve, George Reeves, 2 unrelated people who played Superman.
Adam West as well.
Adam West. Okay. My general philosophy, ever since movies started doing this many, many, many years ago,
Rogue One-ish.
As long as it is respectful, and obviously they have legal permission, but mostly respectful to the people in question, I'm not insulted by it. I put myself in their shoes. Like, if I were an actor and then I died, and then years later they made a movie in a way tributing to what I did as an actor, why should I be offended by that? You know what I mean? Like, would you, when you saw Ghostbusters Afterlife, I don't know if you saw the fourth
I
one.
have seen Ghostbusters
You have? Okay.
Afterlife.
That ending was a tribute to the person who passed away. I forget his name.
Rick Moranis?
No, the other one.
The other one.
The 4th Ghostbuster. But it was him. It was Venkman, I believe. He was the one who passed away, and that movie, he was a ghost in that movie, and he was CGI recreated, and it was directed by his son. It was a loving tribute to him. Harold Ramis. There we go.
One.
It's a tribute to him. That was really respectful and tasteful, and I really appreciated what they did. So as long as it's always in that vibe where they're not insulting the people, they're not going insane with it, they're just honoring what's come before, I'm all game.
I think that scene in particular is very gratuitous.
With what? The Harold Ramis?
No, in this film.
In this
the
film?
Ghostbusters Afterlife is fine.
I'd call it more masturbatory.
Yes.
It was a shot or
It
two.
seems very overly gratuitous, like, oh, look at all these fun cameos. And like I mentioned, George Reeves fucking hated being Superman.
He did. He
But
despised that
he
role.
was still part of this, DC series. Like, this is still honoring, like, hey, this is our legacy. This is what happened in the past.
This is our legacy. He didn't like his
He didn't
part
want
in
to be
that
a
legacy.
part of that legacy.
But that doesn't make him not part of it.
But
Like, it's as long as...
But if he
But
doesn't
you're
want to be
saying if
included,
it's tasteful and respectful, that doesn't feel respectful.
You know what?
Yeah.
Fine. Take George Reeves out of it. Do you still feel the same?
When it comes to the people who have passed, if Christopher Reeves' estate or whatever says, oh, good, Adam West estate or whatever.
Because, like, I would be...
I know Adam West's estate would have said yes. He
Yes,
loves being
Adam
Batman.
West loved being Batman, and that's perfectly fine.
Like, sorry, I fucked up talking.
That's okay.
If it had cut to Christopher Reeve, like, CGI jerking off in a cup, I'd be like, wow, that's the most distasteful thing you could ever do. But I think it was fairly respectful with what they did.
For me, it just takes a lot for it to be respectful. I didn't mind the Ghostbusters Afterlife scene, but there is connections there, and I know they asked the family of the man.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel...
Yeah, no laws are
especially
broken.
when it serves the story in a way that actually serves the story and isn't just, oh, look at the background guy. It's a lot more tasteful. And for me personally, that takes the movie down quite a bit.
Okay.
I very much hate that.
I think it's. I will say, Jake, I would capitulate. I would draw the line at the George Reeves cameo.
I was about to say the arguments you're making about George Reeves. I'm starting to see your point. If he genuinely disliked,
despised Beast.
Okay, that's
it was
one
very
thing.
Public.
Fully, aware of that. But aside from that situation, which I'm actually kind of willing to concede on, I think the concept of bringing someone back in a respectful, tasteful way is I'm on board with it.
I do concur with Jake. There is a difference between masturbatory and a tribute. I think this one rode the line. I think starting with George Reeves is what put that bad taste in people's mouths.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's the
because
first one.
the people who know, the three of us, the people who know go, oh.
Yeah.
I think what it comes down to, if I can come in and be the guy in the middle, I think what it comes down to is starting with that George Reeves one.
Yeah.
And the fact that we know that, like, he fucking hated being Superman. He thought it ruined his career.
Yep.
So it just it's starting with a shot of hard water before you drink anything tasty.
Well, that gives you flash powers.
No, it doesn't.
Jay Garrett Clash Powers.
And if I can build on that for a second, then you just have the Nick Cage part, and I think that's just where you lose everyone.
That's probably why it feels a little bit more gratuitous, because it's a very deep cut to a thing you have to be in to know about.
You gotta. That is like surgically deep.
And
hold on.
If that's one of the only things that you do, and it's all alternates that have never been in there, and it's all alternate stories that could have happened, then sure, that's neat, because it's the alternate universe he's never gotten to see.
That was my point, where it's like that movie. There are documentaries out there about that movie was gonna happen. They were like about to pull the trigger on production, and then it got shut down. Like Nick Cage was Superman in the 90s. And then they pulled the plug. And to see him, like, after he's gotten ripped off for 20 years out of playing Superman, and then he gets the role, even if it's just a little cameo.
He already played
Teen
Superman.
Titans Go to the Movies.
In a voice role, but now you get to see him as in the exact costume that he was going to be in for a few seconds. That's pretty cool. I think that's a nice thing.
And if all of the cameos were those worlds that we've never seen something from before, it would feel a little less. That's why
I'm
you're
more
right,
take it or leave it. It didn't do anything for me.
It does toe the line on masturbatory or gratuity, but for me, it because I have a little bit of sour taste in my mouth because of the whole thing. It seems a little bit more. Obviously, that could be my personal bias, leaning me a little bit towards. This is just a little bit gratuitous and not
fairly
necessary.
new. It's just fairly new territory. So that's fair.
I was just sitting there in the theater. I'm like, ooh. No, I was with the Nick Cage thing. I was like, okay, because it goes from being dead actor tribute to, oh, and Nick Cage is here.
Yeah, it's alternate. I thought it all fit the code of alternate DC worlds. It all fit like the story in what it was. So,
so realistically, I haven't given it my out of 10 yet.
Oh yeah, I didn't hear that.
I'm gonna fall somewhere.
No, before
weird.
you do that,
Okay.
I want to bring up what Jake pointed out to me. So we don't know. Let me be clear. We do not know that it was the Reverse Flash that killed Barry's mother.
That is true.
There's no evidence of that in this film.
None. There's not evidence.
So what
but there's no evidence
Jake
for it.
brought up was if Barry puts that can of tomatoes in his mother's cart, and then his dad doesn't need to leave.
Yep.
That doesn't stop the break-in. That does not necessarily stop the break-in.
Well,
no.
Barry said earlier in the film he must have thought no one was home.
We don't know that. He infers that.
He does.
He doesn't know who did it.
But okay, let's go with this. If it were Reverse Flash, there could be 100 people home. He'd still be able to do it.
He could kill both of them.
Yeah.
He could just kill the mom and frame the dad.
It does. Yeah, that's what happened in the show.
Like that, Barry's actions do not necessitate his mother's survival.
No. And then the movie they pretend like they do.
And they pretend that they do, but it's like, what happened to the guy who killed her?
I know, because we both left the movie at different points. We saw it separately.
We saw it separately.
And then we were talking about it and texting and stuff, and then I brought up, we never found out who killed his mom. And you were like, holy shit, I didn't even fucking think of that.
Yeah. It's like, wait a fucking second here.
There's a lot there.
There's a lot of drop plot points around that. Like, it's I would call it a hand wave for him to be like, oh, we don't know. He must have thought no one was home.
I think because when normal Justice League was coming out, because that was being produced in 2016, the Flash show was already kind of popular. It had gone for a couple seasons already.
Yeah, it was pretty big.
I think the Justice League movie was setting up the exact same story as a TV show, and maybe years ago when they first started to make the movie, they were like,
Flash.
hey, we don't want to go down trodden territory. Let's do something different. So they pulled Flashpoint and made it a DCEU Flashpoint, which, hey, your boy gave it a 9, so I'm not opposed to. But that does, it's a glaring thing. Like, holy shit, the whole point of the movie is that she died. We don't even know why.
That's fair.
I just wanted to bring
No,
that because
that's
I said
very
we'd
fair.
talk about it later.
Yeah, sure.
And
this
it's
is-
like
now
yeah,
it's
no,
later,
you
yeah.
it's
pointed that
later.
out to me, and I was like, yeah, hold on a fucking second. Like,
So, Ian, you said you're going to give your score.
Yes. My baseline thoughts of this movie are, obviously I've seen it done before. It's fine. This is a fine film. I would normally give it a 5, barring any other problems. Maybe a 3 or a 4 because of the issues that I stated with the visuals, and I do not like the actor tribute that I will put in quotes because I think it's a little too distasteful.
and also Ezra Miller.
Yeah.
You said
But-
3. I wanted to.
All right.
But those are the two main ones.
We are.
The film is
wow.
like, honestly, if you had me close my eyes, or if you blinded me to all Uncanny Valley, this film would probably be a 5. I'd be like, all right, whatever.
What
cool,
up?
a little bit
Blind to
distasteful.
all Uncanny Valley over here.
But there's something about watching this film that is visually just jarring enough to take me out of it a little bit too much, and I really, really have a disdain for that end part.
I think this is now our most divided film.
In the
Potentially, yeah.
DCEU,
We're
yes.
no. In general, we're split. If you go with a 3, we are split 3 points from each other's score.
Yeah.
High 9, straight mid, borderline bad.
Because
Borderline
I
terrible.
honestly think that without that step over the line for me, and with a little bit tidied up visuals, it'd probably just be a 5 out of 10. It's a perfectly serviceable time.
I think
I've
if it
seen
was-
Flashpoint enough. I think Ezra Miller would still be annoying. Supergirl really doesn't have anything to do. You're right. But, like, overall, the things that I enjoy from this film, I've seen done better in other films, so I can't really give it, like, super duper high.
See, that's another point that I was
But
going
I
to
think
bring up
it's fine.
too, where one of the reasons that I'm just so up on this movie is that if you were to tell me they're making a solo Flash film, my mind first goes to, okay, so it's going to be this weird origin story where there's going to be a montage with getting the costume and let's say Captain Cold. Captain Cold's like an evil serial killer who freezes people's heads off or something, and he finds out that
That's
Barry is the Flash,
amazing.
and then he kidnaps
Hold on.
Iris, and on the rooftop he's holding her hostage. He shows up. There's a
And then
fight,
they have a flash
20
fight.
minutes
Then they
fight on
flash
the
fight.
rooftop at night with CGI that's questionable if you light it in daytime. Like it's
I
just
mean,
gonna
the
be
CGI
that.
was still questionable.
No, but my point is they didn't do what every fucking solo film for every fucking superhero did. This is like the most outlandish thing ever. And it's why I loved Across the Spider-Verse too. Like it's just out there. We're not seeing another Spider-Man fights a bad guy with a science experiment gone wrong on a rooftop. Like this is crazy.
I think maybe because we've seen Flashpoint so many times, it takes a little bit away
We've seen
from
it never in we
No.
saw an animated movie and we saw a partial adaptation on CW.
Yes.
That's it.
But
Like
Those are still adaptations.
sure,
Yes.
but I've seen Flashpoint way fewer times than I've seen Cookie Cutter Origin solo film.
yeah.
And this
That
is
being-
way better than that would have been.
Yeah, that being said, I can't argue
So.
with what it could have been. I can only argue with what I've seen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think overall it's probably 5, but I'll say 4 just to be safe. Because 3 is like lower than it's the Suicide Squad level. That movie offended me. This movie doesn't fully offend me the entire time. So
That's fair.
there's levels to it. But
All right.
like I disagree with some of the decisions he made, and if he's directing the Batman film, I have questions.
All right, well, either way. So we've gotten that all the way. Death to the DCEU. As up as I am on this film, I do not want more. Mud, you brought up that you'd like to see her return. I respect her as an actress. She's a great actress. She's a great Supergirl. No, I don't want anything to do with the past. I want a new reboot DC world.
You know what I'm excited for?
I'll just point
The
out.
next film in the DCU, Aquaman. The next
if I
film
can,
in the DCU,
if I can just point out, it can be the same actress and just a completely different character.
But
like
then
how
why
Jay-
not just cast someone new? There's 100,000
Why not
actresses.
cast a new J. Jonah Jameson?
Yeah, because
Well,
people
I mean-
liked his version
but
in
she's,
successful
she's
movies.
still new.
Yeah.
She's not in that universe technically.
There's like 100,000 actresses out there that are all like clawing each other's eyes out to get a role, and you want to give the same old actors the new role?
Well,
Like-
this is a new role technically.
Yeah, it's a new character.
and now it's not. Yeah, you're gonna reboot it. Give us a new Supergirl. I don't want to be reminded of the DCEU ever again. They got one more film after Blue Beetle. It's Aquaman 2.
And Blue Beetle's not in the DCU technically.
I guess
Yes,
not.
it is.
I don't know. James Gunn's been saying some stuff.
James Gunn said no, but I think Wonder Woman shows up again. Probably.
No. There's not a cameo in sight.
Thank God.
I'm confirming that now for you, Ian.
But I think what really pissed me off about this film, if I can just close out, is there was a big argument across the internet
across the internet.
When Zaslav took over and he canceled Batgirl and blah blah blah, and people were like, "Oh, right, that's Flash off for tax purposes."
Sure.
Right, and everyone was like, "Oh, they needed to reboot."
They're not rebooting.
They didn't.
That's not why they did it.
They didn't need it.
They thought it was going to make money. And
It
you know what it didn't?
Make
Make money.
Yeah,
Batgirl would have made more money than this because
No
his
way.
budget was way cheaper.
it would have.
Yeah. If you don't even
Yes.
make budget, that's tough.
It had a
Yes.
budget of 90 million.
Yeah. You think people are gonna see it? 100 million worth?
I would-
Shazam
yeah.
made 130. You think it's gonna be more successful than Shazam?
Yes.
Yeah.
No. No. Hell no.
Ugh.
Nah, it's rough. It's definitely
Oh
rough.
man. Yeah. No way. I'm not. Look. Talented people worked on films. I don't want to see films not get made. That's not my point of view. In fact, I
No,
want
no more films
get-
ever.
So yeah, Death to the DCU, and let's see what the new version is. I just wish it would even newer. I want 100% clean slate. I don't want
I
anything
also
to do
want
with it.
100% clean slate. Do you?
I
The
don't know
thing
what I
is,
want at this point.
Maybe
Good
a
point.
couple years of break. Honestly, like a really good couple years of break.
And Marvel.